Hi, I'm Nathan Byrd, and welcome to this episode of the Byrd Academy, the conclusion of Watkins Glen. My first practice session of the weekend, and the car ended up dying on like lap 5.
The car died.
But Liam was able to come in, save the day. 2 cars battling for position in front of me. I'm just gonna stay full throttle and see what happens. And then they ended up just parting ways like the Red Sea. But I was able to take the checkered flag in the overall lead and the in-class lead to get my first sports car win. We started off the day, Saturday, walking into the Arrive Drive tent. The car looked drastically different in the front.
You're gonna have a lot more front grip because you literally have a shovel here in the corner now.
I knew they'd come up with something. They always say I hate the car in the beginning and I love the car at the end, and that's almost always the case. It turned out that those front end modifications that Dustin and Liam made ended up really increasing the physicality of the car. The extra downforce created and the grip that was created by those modifications put so much load in the steering wheel. I had to put so much effort into steering the wheel, because the wheel's going to accept it, the car's going to accept it. It's just a matter of, can I actually get the wheel to turn with all the load and resistance that's in the steering wheel now. Zero's going to kill me. I'm so tired. Arms are pumped. So after qualifying 2 in the Pro Mazda, there's a bit of downtime in between that and my second race in the Porsche for the weekend. David Tawadi, my co-driver, ended up having to leave, so it was all on me to run the car the entirety of the Enduro. But starting the race, I started 6th on the outside, and then I was able to pass for position entering the bus stop out of the S's for P5. The next couple laps, I was able to make a pass for P4 overall, but I was still second in class. And first in class was actually the car right in front of me. So it was 2 4.R cars, and then Mark Mathis, the in-class leader, he immediately pitted, switched out to Mike Skeen, a really fast professional touring car, sports car guy. I ran to about the latest I could possibly run. I pitted, went back out, but by the time I got out of my pit stop, I came out P4 overall and P2 in class. So ended up finishing the race, P2 in class, not bad for my first solo Enduro in Porsche.
Second in class to Mike Skeen.
Okay.
I mean,
Which one's Mike, the red guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, you're talking about a guy who went out there. I mean, he's been doing this for 20 years. He races it's the championship.
It was really nice to make my second trip up to the podium, and it was a really good result for the TLM team.
All right, guys, congratulations. 4-liter improved class.
My weekend with them is now concluded, and now it's time for me to focus on the Pro Mazda with the Ride Drive Motorsports. I still have race 1, race 2, and the Enduro left ahead of me. So heading into race 1, it was going to be a completely dry session. We start P10 overall. I'm going up against way faster cars, and I was able to eventually finish the race in P10 with a P5 in class. Basically, I ended up finishing with the Pro Mazda right about where you would expect the Pro Mazda to finish. It was honestly the most physically demanding race I've ever had in a road course. Like, the steering wheel becomes like that's me turning the wheel. One of the things I still need to work on and improve as a driver in my development is my strength and endurance, because if I'm going to run 500 miles in an Indy car or run an Indy car on a road course, I mean, those guys are experiencing more force in the wheel, they're experiencing more G's, and that's something that obviously I have to work up to. If we take this out for a track day, this is like a workout. That's like my workout for me. My weekly workout. Man up. And now we're looking forward to developing the car of the Pro Mazda just a little bit more, because tomorrow it's looking like my wish might actually come true, which is I'm going to be getting some rain racing, and can't wait to see what's going to happen. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Good night. Have a good night. So, final day here at Watkins Glen International Raceway. Today is only going to be the Pro Mazda. We finished all of our Porsche racing. We still have race 2 and the 1-hour Enduro for the Pro Mazda today. And obviously, as you can see, it's raining out here. The ground's wet, the track's going to be wet for both race 2 and the Enduro. I knew my only chance of getting a podium or a win was if rain was introduced into the equation, because that means the faster champ cars, the Swifts, the power differential between my car and theirs becomes much less significant. But unfortunately, all those guys saw the rain, and all but 5 of the cars competing in Group 9 had decided to pack up and leave, which meant that I was essentially handed the win for Group 9 as long as I was able to keep the car on track. So if I'm going to win the race, me and my dad decided, hey, let's create a new goal. Let's try and lap the entire field within the 10 laps that were scheduled for the race. By the time I was entering the S's in lap 2, the rest of the field was crossing the start-finish line to complete lap 1, and I was getting more and more comfortable over the course of the race. Eventually, I'd come up to my teammate and another guy he was battling. I didn't want to mess up their battle, and it was unfortunate because Matt ended up getting on the rumble strips on the exit of turn 10. I saw his car go left. I was able to narrowly miss him and avoid him. It was probably less than a foot of clearance, probably more like 6 inches of clearance between his car and mine.
Nathan Byrd is showing us all kinds of talent here this season.
And completing that lap was me lapping the entire field, and the safety officials decided to end the race a couple laps early and was able to secure the win for race 2 in the Pro Mazda.
You're right. Yeah. Smoke them.
I was happy to get that one under my belt and secure that win for the Ride Drive team, which is awesome.
And our winner, top step of the podium, number 98, in a Pro Mazda, Nathan Byrd.
The car was actually fairly physical still, even in the rain, but I think the Enduro is going to be, I'm going to focus on just relaxing, that way preserve my energy over the course of the 55 minutes. And I think physically, I think I'll be okay. I was looking forward to an hour-long endurance race in the wet, but unfortunately, the officials decided to shorten the race by half, and that actually caused one of the 3 cars to drop out of the race. So it was just me and a Sports 2000 car.
All right. Well, I'm glad we filled it up with fuel that you're not going to burn now. So don't worry about short shifting. Don't worry about saving.
By the end of the race, I was 5 laps up on the Sports 2000 car. In the end, it was pretty much a practice session, another opportunity to get experience, and I was able to bring home another win for Ride Drive Motorsports in the Pro Mazda.
Did you win?
Yeah,
I'm so proud of you. Awesome job.
Yeah, I won race 2. So it was a really good weekend of development for me as a driver. It exposed some of my weaknesses as a driver as well, building my strength and endurance in the Pro Mazda, and I was able to sort of benchmark myself in the Porsche against guys that are big dogs, and I was able to show that I sort of belong with those guys as well. So in the end, it was a really good weekend, very solid results, and I can't wait until next year when I will be driving both those cars again. Includes Watkins Glen, Byrd Academy. Just another weekend. See you guys. Thank you everybody for joining us on this episode of the Byrd Academy here at Watkins Glen. Stay tuned for the final episode of the Byrd Academy, where we'll be racing NEMA Midgets, NEMA Lights at Star Speedway, New Hampshire with the Byrdman boys.